All right, and welcome back, everybody, to the PACtrospective. This time it's The Who, and it's Mary Rose, and we're talking with Kristen Phaneuf, who was our stage manager for Mary Rose. Hey, Kristen,
Hi.
how are you? How are you now out in LA?
Good. Doing all right. Yeah, it's sunny, which is nice.
So I want to thank you for joining us on this crazy little retrospective that we're calling the PACtrospective. Um, so, uh, so you are an actor, but how you and I first met was you were the ASM on Rizzo at Philadelphia Theater Company,
Correct.
and you were fantastic. And and I just remember asking you, I think while we were doing the run, because we were looking for a stage manager for our next season, and I was like, hey, do you want to be our stage manager for the whole season? And so you ended up stage managing All's Well and White Devil.
Correct.
So how did you get into stage managing?
Well, it was something I tried during school. I stage managed a couple shows while I was there, and I did some at a theater called Tidewater Stage, which did like a summer program. And so I did some stage managing there. I was the ASM for Pump Boys and Dinettes, which is a funny show. But so I kind of like learned that way. And then when I moved to Philadelphia, which is the city that's closest to my family, the first thing I did was I stage managed for the resident theater company's production of the last 5 years. And it was really small, it was really intimate, and it was a great way to kind of learn, because I love stage managing because you get to be really organized, you get to make sure everything falls into place. And so that was really great. And then I got to do Rizzo at Philadelphia Theater Company, which is where we met. And that was really awesome. And so I got into it because I'm a pretty organized person, and I really like helping and taking care of other people. And stage managing, that's basically the whole job, is just being organized and making sure that everybody knows what they're doing and they're feeling okay and able to get where they need to go.
That's great. That like covered like a bunch of questions, like how did you get into it, and like what does the stage manager do? Um,
Yeah.
so PAC in particular is a site-specific theater company most of the time.
Yes.
So we met. We were working at Suzanne Roberts, and like it's a beautiful, Worth Theater, beautiful stage and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then I dragged you across the street to Broad Street Ministry, and which was lovely, and we had such a great time there. And then we did Mary Rose. So we were at the Woodlands Mansion and Cemetery, which we just showed some pictures of. We'll continue showing that. So, like, what would you say, like, are the biggest differences, of course, between doing working in a theater and working site specifically?
Yeah, lots of differences. And it was a really great transition for me to go from such a luxurious experience to Broad Street Ministries, which was still different, but it had the structure of a general theater because of the way the PAC does things. And then the Woodlands was a whole new animal. But it's different. There are a lot of challenges that you have to try to overcome on the fly, because there are things that like you can't really plan for. When you have a theater space, it's set up for you to have a backstage, for you to have a lighting grid and a fly system sometimes, or all kinds of things, changing rooms. I mean, something that simple. And when you're at a place that is a cemetery, you don't have those things. And so we had to learn quickly how to adapt to things like, okay, so once an actor enters the stage from one door, there's no other exit. So we got to find a way to get them off stage or to get them into a discrete corner so that they aren't distracting. So stuff like that was challenging. Creating a space that was workable for an audience that had to travel was really interesting. And being outside, of course, there's the weather challenge. And so a lot of those calls came down to me just making judgment calls on what needed to happen.
Yeah, because we'll have talked to Claire and Emma from the
Yeah.
Woodlands before I've talked to you, and yeah, and the Woodlands is gorgeous.
So
It's
beautiful.
a beautiful mansion, and the grounds are fantastic because there's a cemetery over there. Um, so yeah, so you had to make calls about the weather, and we were lucky enough that we had like an indoor space as well.
Yes. Oh, thank
How did you,
goodness.
how because there isn't a grid, because there isn't all the technical elements you have in a theater. What did you have in order to make the show run? Like what were the things that you had to do besides calling, okay, it's going to be the rain show, we have to go indoors?
Sure. Well, making sure that the audience was going where they needed to go. So for Mary Rose, I'm sure you've talked about this with them, we went from indoors to outdoors to back indoors. So one of the main things I did was make sure that the audience knew where they were going, that they understood how to travel, that kind of stuff. I had some lighting stuff, which was nice. I had a little tiny board that I used to like dim the lights a little bit, because there were some sconces inside of the Woodlands mansion that we used to kind of like dim and create an atmosphere. And then I kind of just let the show happen. There wasn't a lot that I could do to control things. I had a way to signal outside of the building so that our actors knew when they could enter and exit the space. But that was kind of it. And otherwise, it was just making sure that things were running smoothly, and that and checking on the weather. I watched the weather, and I had a couple of sound cues because we had a beautiful gramophone that was gorgeous and made beautiful music. It was this like antique piece.
So we talked about some of the challenges of working on Mary Rose. Can you talk about like maybe something that was one of your like, I don't know, what are your favorite moments in the show? Either something that that the actors did, or something that was one of your favorite things that you got to do as stage manager for the show?
Yeah. I think my favorite part of the show was the experience of getting to be outside for the second act, and then going back inside afterwards. But one of the things that I loved about that was, in the show Mary Rose, there's this mystery that shrouds the island that they're on. And it's this kind of scary, kind of beautiful thing. And so when we would do this outside portion, there were several nights, because it was summer, it was August, it was the evening. So as you know, in Philly, there's lots of storms. The weather's a little bit unpredictable during the Fringe. And so I would say for about half of the performances, there would be these clouds that would accumulate like during the scene, and the winds would start to pick up, and you would see audience members kind of like prickle in their seats and like look around. And so during this time, I was watching the performances, but I was also watching the audience to see how they respond, not only to the beautiful performances that were happening, but also the like sensory experience of getting to feel the wind and feel the terror of something isn't quite right here sometimes, and also the beauty of like being outside and in this like mysterious graveyard. And so that was one of my favorite things, and I really liked getting to call that scene specifically because there were several different things that I made sure happened. I made sure the actors were getting on there was this huge symphony of music that like builds as Mary Rose was disappearing and all this stuff. So that was my favorite part for sure.
That's great. So yeah, so you stage managed. Like my relationship with you has always been as a stage manager, but
Right.
you're not in Philadelphia anymore. You do more than just stage manage. Now you're out in LA.
I
So,
am.
so you've been out in LA for how long now?
Well, just about 6 months. I moved in October.
Okay. And how are things going out there for you?
Good. I really like it. I had a really smooth transition, which was nice. As soon as we got out there, I was able to get a job. I was able to do the waitressing thing. And also I was able to find an agent right away and start jumping into some smaller productions. I got to do a little thing on the Disney Channel, which was really fun. So there's a little clip of me on the Disney Channel. So 12-year-old Kristen is extremely satisfied with the way my career is going.
And I just saw some like new print things you did for some kind of coffee or something.
Yeah, so I've done some modeling as well for different coffee companies. That I have a background as a barista, and so I was really excited to get to work with a nitro coffee company and just some other small little organizations that I can be a part of, which is fun.
So now we're all, you know, in this quarantine period, and you know, we're all finding ways to do things while we can't do the things that we always do. So
Yeah.
is there anything you're doing right now to keep yourself active, keep yourself fulfilled?
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the things that was tough is I felt this lack of being able to perform and being able to work with other people creatively, because we're all long distance, which, you know, when you're working in the theater, you're building these relationships that are just so deep, and you're able to be creative with each other, which is so fun. And so not having that has been really hard for me. And so I've been able to find some other outlets that I have that aren't acting necessarily. So I've been playing a lot of piano and learning some musical theater songs on the piano. So that has been nice, because that kind of fills a little bit of the theater that's missing from my life. And I've been reading. I've been reading a lot of plays. I've been reading some books, and watching TV, because I love to watch great performances. And so I've been doing those things, and I've had some friends who have done some Zoom productions of plays, like Five Women Wearing the Same Dress or 12 Angry Jurors, that are all, you know, people in one room talking. And so that's been really fun to watch, and to still be able to stay connected to the community through that.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Kristen Phaneuf, thanks so much for joining us on this little crazy thing called the PACtrospective. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad you're doing well out there. We miss you here. But thank you for joining us on this thing, this little.
Yeah, I miss you all. I love you. Lots of love.
And everybody, thank you for watching. Right below, there's a little button over there that you could donate if you'd like. We've got this Glickstein challenge going on that all new and increased donations will be matched by the Glicksteins. So, and that goes until June 30th. So thanks very much. And tune in for the next PACtrospective, which will be with our artist in residence for Mary Rose, which is Ryan Strand Greenberg. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time.